Hey there, fellow carbon-based life forms. Let's talk about oil. You know, that dark, viscous liquid that powers our world? The stuff we've grown so dependent on, it's almost comical. We've built entire economies, societies, and even lifestyles around this fossil fuel. But our addiction to oil comes with a hefty price tag. We're facing environmental challenges, economic instability, and geopolitical tensions, all linked to our insatiable thirst for this resource. So join me as we delve into the complex and often absurd world of oil. We'll explore the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. It's a journey that's as fascinating as it is frightening. Let's get started. Let's kick things off with the obvious oil spills. Those delightful little incidents where vast quantities of crude oil decide to take an unscheduled vacation in our oceans, coating everything in sight with a lovely sheen of toxic goo. It's basically like watching a nature documentary directed by a Michael Bay film crew, messy, explosive, and with a whole lot of innocent bystanders getting slimed. And then there's the air pollution. Those lovely plumes of smog billowing from our exhaust pipes and factories. Yeah, that's oil saying hello to our lungs. Not exactly the kind of greeting card sentiment you want to be inhaling on a daily basis. But hey, at least it adds a bit of industrial chic to our city skylines, right? But wait, there's more. Oil also happens to be a major contributor to climate change. You know, that whole planet getting hotter than a jalapeno eating contest thing? Yeah, oil's kind of the VIP guest at that party. Burning fossil fuels releases greenhouse gases which trap heat in the atmosphere. Think of it like wrapping the earth in a giant oily blanket. Cozy, right? Except for the whole melting glaciers, rising sea levels, and extreme weather events bit. The history of oil spills dates back to the early days of oil drilling. Back then, the technology was rudimentary, and spills were almost inevitable. Over the decades, we've seen countless spills, each one a stark reminder of the environmental cost of our oil dependency. Today, while our response techniques have improved, the sheer volume of oil being transported means that spills are still a significant risk. And it's not just the spills. The entire process of extracting, refining, and transporting oil is fraught with environmental hazards. Refineries release a cocktail of pollutants into the air, contributing to the smog that chokes our cities. And let's not forget the vehicles. Every car, truck, and bus running on fossil fuels adds to the pollution, creating a toxic mix that affects our health. The health impacts are severe, with respiratory diseases, heart conditions, and even premature deaths linked to air pollution. The public is increasingly aware of these issues, and there's a growing movement demanding change. The good news is that alternatives are available. Renewable energy sources like wind, solar, and hydro are becoming more viable and widespread. Innovations in technology are paving the way for a cleaner, more sustainable future. Communities around the world are taking action, from local cleanup efforts to grassroots movements pushing for policy changes. On a global scale, international agreements and cooperation are crucial in addressing the climate crisis. While the challenges are immense, the collective effort of individuals, communities, and nations gives hope for a brighter, cleaner future. It's a long road ahead, but with determination and innovation, we can turn the tide and create a world where spills, smog, and climate change are relics of the past. Okay, so maybe oil isn't so great for the planet. We all know that oil is a major player in the energy sector, powering our cars, planes, and industries. But have you ever stopped to think about the true cost of this black gold? Beyond the economic benefits, oil has a dark side that impacts our environment and health in ways we can't ignore. But what about us humans? Surely we're smart enough to avoid the worst of it, right? We have technology, regulations, and awareness campaigns. Yet, despite all these efforts, the air quality in many cities around the world continues to deteriorate. The smog that blankets our urban areas is a constant reminder of our reliance on fossil fuels. Well, not quite. Remember that air pollution we talked about? It's not just an eyesore, it's a silent killer. The tiny particles and toxic gases released from burning oil and other fossil fuels penetrate deep into our lungs and bloodstream, causing a myriad of health problems. Yeah, it turns out breathing in all that smog isn't exactly doing wonders for our respiratory systems. It's not just a minor inconvenience, it's a serious health hazard. Studies have shown that long-term exposure to polluted air can lead to chronic respiratory diseases, reduced lung function, and even premature death. We're talking asthma, lung cancer, heart disease, the whole shebang. These aren't just statistics, they're real people suffering every day. Children are particularly vulnerable with increasing rates of asthma and other respiratory conditions. And it's not just the lungs that are affected. Air pollution has been linked to heart disease, stroke, and even cognitive decline. It's almost like our bodies weren't designed to run on fumes. Go figure. The human body is incredibly resilient, but it has its limits. Constant exposure to polluted air pushes those limits, leading to a decline in overall health and quality of life. It's a stark reminder that our environment and our health are inextricably linked. And then there's the whole climate change thing again. Burning oil releases carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that traps heat in the atmosphere. This leads to global warming, which in turn causes a cascade of environmental changes. Melting glaciers, rising sea levels, and shifting weather patterns are just the tip of the iceberg. Because guess what? Those rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and crop failures, they're not just abstract concepts, they're real and happening now. Coastal communities are facing the threat of flooding, farmers are struggling with unpredictable weather, and entire ecosystems are being disrupted. Yeah, those are kind of a big deal for humans too. Displacement due to climate change is becoming more common, with millions of people forced to leave their homes. This creates a ripple effect, leading to social and economic challenges that affect us all. We're talking about displacement, food shortages, and a whole lot of really uncomfortable heat waves. The impact on agriculture means less food on the shelves and higher prices. Heat waves are becoming more frequent and intense, putting vulnerable populations at risk and straining our healthcare systems. It's almost like we're playing a giant game of Jenga with our own civilization, and oil is the block we keep pulling out. Each time we rely on oil, we destabilize the delicate balance of our environment and health. The more we pull, the closer we get to a collapse. But hey, at least we can all take comfort in the fact that we're not alone in this. The effects of oil and pollution are felt worldwide, transcending borders and affecting people of all backgrounds. It's a global issue that requires a collective effort to address. Because when it comes to the negative impacts of oil, it's an equal opportunity offender. No one is immune to the consequences, whether it's an oil spill, devastating a coastal community, or deforestation affecting indigenous populations. The environmental and health impacts are far-reaching and indiscriminate. Rich or poor, young or old, we're all breathing the same air and feeling the heat. Isn't that heartwarming? It's a sobering thought, but also a call to action. We have the power to make changes, to reduce our reliance on oil, and to protect our planet and our health for future generations. Let's talk geopolitics, baby. Oil, often referred to as black gold, has been a cornerstone of modern civilization. Its discovery and extraction have powered industries, fueled transportation, and even shaped the very fabric of our daily lives. But this addiction to oil has a dark side that goes beyond the gas pump. Because nothing says international diplomacy like a good old-fashioned scramble for resources. Countries have long vied for control over oil-rich regions, seeing it as a ticket to economic prosperity and geopolitical influence. The stakes are high, and the competition is fierce. And when it comes to oil, things can get downright territorial. Nations have drawn lines in the sand, both literally and figuratively, to protect their interests. This territoriality often leads to heightened tensions and, in many cases, outright conflict. Wars have been fought, regimes toppled, and alliances forged, all in the name of securing those sweet, sweet crude reserves. The history of oil is marred with bloodshed and political maneuvering. From the Middle East to South America, the quest for oil has reshaped borders and rewritten histories. It's like a real-life game of Risk, but with higher stakes and a lot more explosions. But wait, there's more. The human cost of this relentless pursuit is staggering. Lives are lost, communities are displaced, and the environment often takes a back seat to the insatiable demand for oil. Turns out being overly reliant on oil can do some pretty funky things to a country's economy too. We're talking boom and bust cycles, price volatility, and economic instability. Countries that depend heavily on oil exports often find themselves at the mercy of global oil prices, which can fluctuate wildly, and enough market speculation to make a Wall Street banker break a sweat. The financial markets are deeply intertwined with oil prices, and any significant change can send shockwaves through the global economy. Investors and traders constantly monitor oil prices, making split-second decisions that can have far-reaching consequences. It's like riding a roller coaster with no safety harness and a faulty brake system. Thrilling? Maybe. But for the average citizen, it's a ride they'd rather not be on. The economic instability caused by oil price fluctuations can lead to job losses, inflation, and a host of other issues that affect everyday life. A recipe for disaster? Definitely. And the real kicker? The environmental impact of our oil addiction is equally catastrophic. Oil spills, deforestation, and pollution are just a few of the environmental disasters linked to oil extraction and consumption. This whole oil-fueled geopolitical and economic chaos, it's a vicious cycle that seems almost impossible to break. The more we rely on oil, the more we entrench ourselves in conflicts and economic instability. It's not exactly doing wonders for global peace and stability. The constant struggle for control over oil resources exacerbates existing tensions and creates new ones. It's a never-ending battle that leaves destruction in its wake. It's almost like we're so busy fighting over the last drops of oil that we're forgetting to address the bigger picture, the long-term sustainability of our planet. The environmental degradation caused by oil extraction and consumption is a ticking time bomb that we can't afford to ignore. You know, like the fact that we're all stuck on this planet together, crazy, right? It's high time we rethink our relationship with oil and look for sustainable alternatives. The future of our planet and the well-being of future generations depend on the choices we make today. The impact of oil on our planet and society is undeniable. It's time to break free from this destructive cycle. We, as individuals and as a global community, have the power to demand change. Let's support policies that promote renewable energy and sustainable practices. By making conscious choices like driving less, conserving energy, and supporting sustainable businesses, we can contribute to a more sustainable future. Despite the challenges, there is hope. By embracing innovation and working together, we can build a world that is powered by clean energy and sustainable practices. Let's be the generation that breaks the oil curse and creates a brighter future for all. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. See you next time.